Hello and welcome back to the Sunday special episode of the U Up Podcast. I'm Jordana Abraham.
And I am Jared Freed. It is so good to be back here with you, Jordana. We love a Sunday special, and we love a special guest, right?
We have a very special guest. She's been on our show before, fan favorite, Violet Benson. Welcome. We're so excited to have you.
I'm so excited to be here.
And we just recorded an amazing episode for Violet's podcast, Almost Adulting, that will be out in a few weeks because I know this one comes out on March 11th. And
ours will come out either the end of March or the first week of April.
Yes. So check out her podcast. You can listen to our episode. You can listen to all of her episodes. I love like the whole vibe that you have is just like so fun and so like on it that I know our audience is going to really love your show if they're not already listeners, which they might be already.
Almost Adulting.
Absolutely. Go listen to Almost Adulting. Also go follow Daddy Issues if you don't already. Violet, what brings you to New York? What's the occasion?
Well, you guys.
Of course, other than us, than how wonderful we are.
Another podcast. I guess I've just always, first of all, here's my thing. I never leave my house. I think the pandemic made it worse for me to just never leave my house because I also live so deep in the hills. Okay. So I've gotten so used to being at home. I happen to not be having sex. So I have a different addiction right now, which is shopping. I buy so many clothes, yet I have nowhere to wear it. So the minute I find something to do, I'm like, because you guys wanted to just record the podcast remotely. And I said, no, let me fly to you.
Yes.
Oh,
because I was like, perfect. I'm going to get some outfits together. Okay. And then yesterday for like 5 hours, I was like, okay, this outfit. No. Wait, what's my vibe? And I figured out 4 different outfits for 4 different podcast recordings and an extra one just in case, obviously, for my flight. The thing is, no matter how much effort I put into all my outfits, trying to look cute, trying to find some worth in my life, some purpose. This is my purpose. I always look terrible in all my outfits. Because I slouch, my stomach hangs out, I look ugly, and I'm not asking for you telling me that I don't. I know I do, and it's just and at this point we had this conversation. It's not the lights in my house, it's not the cameras, it's me.
Well,
I'm the problem.
Violet, that's the reason we invited you on to talk about your slouching.
Dude, as I'm talking about it, I was slouching right now.
This is an intervention. We've been talking about it.
We were here to say that we agree with you. Yeah. We've been watching for a while now, and something had to be done. And you know what? One time someone recently told me, and I love feedback, even if it's criticism or whatever, I don't consider that criticism. I love feedback, especially, you can tell when someone, even if they're angry or saying in a mean way, you can still take it with a grain of salt. And some girl made a good point. She said, I saw that you guys posted to your YouTube channel this video, and it was so hard to watch you because you won't stop moving, and you just feel like you're so uncomfortable in your own body. And I said, you know what? I know you're trying to be mean, but I love that because you're so right. But that's just one person's opinion. That's the thing about the internet. No, but she was correct. She noticed something.
Don't you think it's not her place? Like if someone said, Jared, you look uncomfortable in your body, I'd be like, yeah, welcome to the fucking show. It's been my whole life. I don't need you to tell me that. I know that. Like, I don't need you to like.
Look, things only upset us if there's some parts of it that are true. So things don't hurt me if I don't believe it to be true. But if she got to me a little in my brain because I said, oh, yeah, shit, she's correct. It kind of got me. She's right. I'm moving around my outfit. Look, right now I'm wearing sweats. So comfy. I can chill. I can relax. So in conclusion, wear sweats. Wear sweats. Be yourself. I mean, I get that a lot. I get people who write reviews or DM me that I say like a lot, which I do. So I feel bad about it when I see it because I know it's true, like you said. But I can't help it. And I am who I am. You could fix it. You really can't. Work on it. I really can't. Okay. I've tried. It doesn't work.
Here's the other thing. If you know it's an issue and you get offended by it, you are working on it. You don't know. I don't think a lot of people are just
not doing it consciously. Yeah.
Right. Like you don't want to do this thing. Like this is just, and then also it's like, if you have a problem with my slouching, get the fuck out of here. I'd be like, see, the door's over there. This is a slouching podcast.
I think it's the same with dating. Okay. If the partner you're dating wants you to change, you're not going to change. You have to want to change for yourself. So right now, saying like a lot is not bothering you. So you don't care what that person is saying. Eventually, If you start to notice it and you want to change it, then you'll change it.
Yeah, but that's why the person doesn't need to comment that. Like, I think it's more annoying that someone thinks they have the right to, like, make the comment. Like, whether they're right or wrong, it doesn't matter. Maybe that it's classless.
Right.
People get upset if I dye my hair or if I get a haircut.
Well, you're never going to have the hair color that everyone approves of, so just do you. But I want to talk about, you said you're not sleeping with anyone. And you would mention when we went on your show that you are not, that you don't want to sleep with anyone unless you're in a committed relationship with them.
Unless I choose. I think it's very important to make that clear, including when you're dating. If you decide to do what I'm doing, I think it's important to let the person know, especially as a woman, that it's your choosing. Because a lot of times men think that you're trying to trick them. Oh, only if I decide to commit to her, then she'll sleep with me. I'm like, no. I don't give a shit if you want to commit to me or not. It's my choosing. I'm right now deciding if we're good for each other. And the reason I explain it, it's not because I'm waiting for you to fall in love with me. And by the way, these guys get so romantic, do everything for me. That's not cool. They think they're tricking me. They're not. For me, I get emotionally attached once a penis goes in my mouth or my vagina. Knowing that, mostly in my vagina, knowing that I'm going to avoid not wasting my time, but I'm going to avoid getting attached and creating a whole fairy tale about this. One time I was dating a guy and he was mad at me and he stopped responding to my texts for almost a week. And I didn't even notice. Because I was just so busy in our fairy tale. I literally was like, can't wait to see you. And then I get back to work. Didn't even notice he wasn't even responding back to me. Because I was so busy in our fairy tale.
That's very funny. So after a week, you were just like looking through all the messages. You're like, oh, it's all on color.
Then I texted
it's a lot of blue here. I'm swimming in the Atlantic.
What's going on?
I literally had to text and be like, wait, are you ghosting me, LOL? Because I didn't even realize. Imagine trying to ghost someone and they don't even notice that you're ghosting them.
Right. I get the same whimsical fairy tale feeling when I put a pastrami sandwich in my mouth.
Right.
I get attached to the
I have the same interaction when I'm harassing like customer service people and I just keep messaging them over and over and they haven't said anything back and I just keep and then I'm like and I figure out something else that made me angry and then I just keep saying that and they never answer. So I've gotten that from a customer service rep. So are you going on dates though?
So no.
Okay.
Why not?
But okay, last year I was dating.
Okay.
Last year I was dating. But I think we talked on my show something that was really important. You guys have talked about this on your show as well, about a list, making a list. Jared recently did that. We found out he has a thing for teachers. Against them.
Against them.
Yes.
A vendetta against them. Do not be a teacher.
Yes.
Yeah, restraining order against all teachers. That's his thing. I get it. So for me, not having a list is what made me realize towards the end of last year that I was dating not all of the wrong guys, not my matches. It's kind of, I was just dating to date. And it was just, even though I wasn't sleeping with these men, they were all going down on me, obviously. And obviously.
Okay.
So
right, obviously.
Thankful. Yeah. And again, it was the same thing. Oh, this could work. So I think the list is important. The last guy I dated, and after him, I just stopped dating. The last guy I dated, he felt like we were rushing into things too fast, and he decided to break up with me. And when he was breaking up with me, I kid you not, I said, wait, what? We're exclusive? And he said, what? Are we not? And I said, what? So that was already I had no idea. This always happens to me where I get it, people are exclusive. Not that I was hooking up with anyone else, but I was texting other guys. I didn't know we're exclusive. We're not sleeping together either. And then he broke up with me. And then for 2-3 days, I had to comfort him while he was crying his eyes out for 2-3 days when I was holding him, making him feel better for dumping me.
Well, this happens a lot where I think a lot of guys, if you end it and then someone's like, oh, cool, you're like, well, wait a minute. You're not in love with me? You know, like I could have, you know, it does somehow. You're like, oh, maybe you were the one I should have been with the whole time, that you don't care that much.
Well, it's all about the ego, right?
Right.
In that scenario. But I'm interested in this because I think it's a smart idea.
No, but this is how I knew I wasn't ready to date.
Okay.
When I watched him for the 3rd day in a row, crying his eyes out in my arms, which really mentally fucked with my brain, to be honest. It was like really interrupting from all the meetings I had. Like literally I had to be like, okay, we have to wrap this up. I have a meeting with Chelsea Handler's people. And I'm just like trying to process the fact that this man, grown up, was crying in my arms. We dated for a month. But then I sat there and I thought, wow, if this guy could cry like this after being with me for only a month, if he can cry like this after breaking up with me after a month, imagine how passionate he would be if he loved me.
Well, when he was crying, what was he saying when he was crying to you?
That it was hard to. Actually, I don't remember. I wasn't paying attention.
Like, was he? Well, I'm saying, like,
real
was he
caring shoulder
because,
you gave him.
Was he crying because he was upset that he wasn't going to be with you anymore, or was he crying because he like is going through some?
I think he was going through his own shit, but instead I was looking and I was thinking, wow, he must like me so much. Imagine if he loved me. And that suddenly became my little thought. Just like the thought that he was able to express so many emotions. I was just like, wow, I want to drown in those emotions. Imagine if he loved me, how much more emotions he would have. And that told me in that moment, oh, V, you're not ready to date. That's part of your daddy issues. That's part of your abandonment issues. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, okay, I need to take a step back.
Well, okay, I mean, I guess my question to that is like, if he loved you, are you saying if he was staying with you, how much more of him you would get? I don't really understand.
If he cried this much after being with me for a month, like that means he felt so much for me that he could be this passionate to cry over me. Even though the honest truth is, I wasn't paying attention. He wasn't crying over me. He was crying because he had to let these tits go, you know? He was crying. No, I'm kidding. But he was crying because he just got a long relationship a while back, and he realized he still wasn't ready to put himself through that again. And I think he was crying about hurting my feeling. I don't know. To be honest, I don't know what the fuck.
He's probably going through something.
I think he's confused.
It had nothing to do with me.
Well, it has nothing to do with you. I think, like, and I'll speak for a lot of guys out there that don't kind of get the benefit of the doubt when it comes to like having emotional, intelligence and having kind of like, these having emotional swings, so to speak, like you're speaking of now. And it's like, it can happen that you're ending something with someone, and like you said, it's about the guy going, what the fuck am I doing here? How did I not? Yeah. If this person isn't right, then who is going to be right? Like. This is he's probably looking at you going, successful, beautiful woman. How am I not in after a month? What is making me end this with someone that checks a lot of boxes? Why can't I get there? So I'm sure it has to do with that.
No, I know. But the thing is, I wasn't paying attention to that. For me, I didn't realize that I was deep inside kind of enjoying the moment where
you were into it.
Just the emotions. That I was like, wow, this person has so many feelings. I want to drown in those feelings. I love this vulnerability, and I love how vulnerable this person is with me. And I thought those emotions had to do with me. It had nothing to do with me. But in that moment, I thought, wow, if he's this upset over not being with me after a month, imagine how much love he could give me if he loved me.
Okay. Well, I think there's something to that.
That's where it made me realize, okay, I'm not ready for it. Because, by the way, after that, those 3 days, then he was like, I don't hear from him. He was doing well. And that obviously messed with my head. 2 weeks later, I was just like, are you joking? How did you make me? Because I take other people's emotions. So I was very low and sad for almost a week. It took me a while to kind of get through all his crying. So then I'm like, where did that happen?
But then, I mean, to bring it back to the list, it kind of like brings you back to what you can take from every dating experience, which is like more taste. So you come out of that and you're like, okay, I know I really prioritize a guy who's like in touch with his emotions, that can communicate how he feels, that like feels deeply. And that's something that you like learn from that experience that maybe you didn't have before. That's on your list, let's say.
I do like, I like a man that's in touch with his feelings, but this man wasn't in touch with his feelings. The red flags were there. I wasn't paying attention. And his crying had nothing to do with me. His crying literally made no sense, by the way. And it was just emotional damage to me afterwards because I thought he must have really liked me, but he didn't, because then he forgot about me. He just needed to dump his emotions on me. I don't need that. What made me realize is that just like when I watch movies, I fast forward through the beginning because I'm so bored, and I like to get through the first 20 minutes of any show and movie just to get to it already.
Okay.
And I realized that's what was happening with him. He got so emotional so fast, and I said, finally, emotions. I get to feel them, but they're not real.
Right.
We didn't get through growing together.
They weren't real for you.
towards me.
Yeah.
We weren't there yet with the intimacy. It wasn't real. I just wanted to speed up, and that's why I enjoyed the emotion so much, because I was like, great, I can fast forward and get to feel all this man's emotions without actually getting to know him.
So
you can work with
so
it,
now
right.
because of that, you're not looking for a relationship, you're not dating, you're not leaving the house. You say you don't leave the hills, you don't go out.
I just kind of, after that, I was just over it, and then I think I somehow started focusing on work, and dating became in the back end of my brain. But then I would still say things like to people that I thought they wanted to hear, which would be, of course I want to get married. Yeah, I definitely want a partner. But I didn't believe what I was saying. So recently I had to finally sit down with myself, and I was like, V, your words and your actions are not matching. I always have to say that to myself when they're not matching. And it's kind of like, if you're saying you want to date someone, you're looking for a partner, you have to take action. You can't just wait in your house. So I did get back on dating apps. I'm slowly getting into it.
Okay. And then can I ask just for advice for the listeners at home, who also maybe like say, okay, when I have sex with someone, I get very attached to them, and I don't want to do that. Like, I don't want to be sleeping with someone who I'm not in a committed relationship with. Like, at what point when you're seeing someone, or when you've done it in the past, when have you brought it up? How has the reaction been? Like, do you have any advice for the listeners at home about maybe setting that boundary?
I think setting that boundary is really important based on how things make you feel. You know, it's not, I think people think it's some rule or something like that. I don't care. It's not about the person you're dating. It's about how it makes you feel. If it doesn't make, you have to ask yourself, did this make me feel good? Am I going to be okay if this guy adds a bunch of girls tomorrow? Am I suddenly going to become more insecure? Because a lot of times we think as a woman, if I sleep with a man, then he's changed. A lot of times he hasn't changed. He's remained the same. I've changed. I've become more insecure. I'm suddenly confused why he's not calling me more. Like, the guy has not changed at all. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times we don't realize that. So you just have to be honest with yourself. What am I looking for? Am I looking for sex, or am I looking for a relationship? If I'm looking for a relationship, then I need to be honest with myself. Should I then sleep with this guy? Is it going to make me more insecure? Is it going to ruin things between us? Because we don't realize this, but when we fast forward with the physical, we're still in the beginning with the emotional. We have to catch up. And that's why a lot of times if you sleep with someone, you're not exclusive yet, because you actually don't know each other. Just because the P was in the V, right? You don't know anything about the other person. You still need to get to know each other. And sometimes it can be confusing for someone who's already gotten attached. So for me in the past, one time I tried to have a one-night stand, and then I ended up dating the guy. But I was so flip-floppy. And then he ghosted me.
I mean, from the other side of things, it's funny to hear someone say, like, you hear this a lot from the women that, right into this show and I'm hearing it from you now, where you go, I'm trying to have a one-night stand. Like, there is no guy, every guy is trying to have one-night stands all the time, and also let's see what happens. Like, there's no categorizing. Like, we get asked a lot, like, what dating app is the best for relationships? If you're no guy is going, well, I better stay away from Hinge, too many relationships. Like, they're just on it. Everything is the same from the other end. So if you're, when you say, like, I'm out there looking for a one-night stand, yeah, that guy might go, and then it turned into dating. Of course it did for him. He didn't think twice. He didn't even have a categorization of what that was going to be.
I think a lot of times guys are down for one-night stand, but the minute you tell them, I want to have a one-night stand with you, they're like, no, now we're dating. They do the opposite.
Well, they want a little bit of the chase.
But here's what I would say. A, masturbate before a date. You'll be less horny. I always masturbate before a date. That's A. B.
Hope you wash your hands.
I use a vibrator. Grow up.
Okay.
B, I don't have time for that shit. I'm busy working. I'm a business. I'm kidding. But I just don't know how to do that. It just seems boring. Just my finger. Anyway, B, if you are sexually active, which is nothing wrong with that, you can still be sleeping with someone. If you want to still continue having sex, find someone that you won't want to date, whether it's an ex or whatever. Well, then you go out there and you do date the guys you potentially want to have a relationship with. That way, you are not clouded by judgment. You won't rush into sleeping with this guy while you're getting to know him, because you're already fucking this guy. In my opinion, then it's important to have like the little roster, 2 to 3 guys. For me, it's hard because
human vibrators.
I can't remember half the things people tell me. So it's really, I'm like, wait, did we talk about something? It's happened to me in the past when I dated a few guys. I'll be like, wait, are you the one with the 2 brothers? No, okay, my bad.
So the key is to find a teacher that you like sleeping with.
Right.
So you can find your real boyfriend or girlfriend on the side.
Right. That's
my
the way to go.
issue is I will end up falling in love with the person I'm sleeping with.
Right. Well, that was my issue too. Is like I would always become more deeply into, more like artificially interested in someone after I've slept with them. Like it's a chemical thing. I totally agree with you. But I would always, for me, it would be like hard for me to communicate that before, because you don't want to seem like, you don't want to like scare someone off by being like, I'm not going to sleep with you unless you're my boyfriend.
But I think if you say, I'm not going to, I feel like because I changed the wording, it's helped me. Because it wasn't,
that's what I'm saying,
I'm not going to, I don't have sex with a man unless we're exclusive. No. It's not your choice. I don't have sex with a man unless I decide that we should be exclusive, unless I decide that we're a good fit to date. So that's, the ball is in my court. So you're now going back to trying to impress me. Because a lot of times we like a guy and we sleep with them or whatever. We're bored. So he's the only thing we're focusing on. And suddenly it goes from, oh, I really enjoyed going out with him those 2 times to, oh, okay, how do I get this guy to like me? And I do that too. Literally, after 2 dates, suddenly I'm like, what are some signs that an Aries guy likes you? Or like, let me read his horoscope sign. Okay, Virgo. Okay, today he's meeting a new girl. Who the fuck is this girl? And like, now I'm trying to figure out how to be that girl. And then suddenly your whole personality is to get loved by this guy who you didn't even like last week.
Right. The moment,
well, I think the way you phrase it,
Go ahead.
Like,
yeah.
I think that's great. The way she's phrasing it was really like kind of aligns with everything we say on the show.
Absolutely. Much more powerful. The idea, and you know, the minute you look to the stars to tell you whether the guy's going to like you is the minute it's gotten a little ridiculous. You know, like it's out of your hands. Like what you're saying is like, it's in my hands. I make the decision. And also, here's the other thing. Like if you said, I am going to sleep with you once I'm ready to be exclusive, that guy can say, no, I'm not ready. And now you're having a talk that you wouldn't have had. You know, now it's not like under wraps. There's actual communication happening because you're saying, I am going to sleep with you because I am ready to be exclusive. Then the guy can go, well, I am not where you are, so I am going to have to bail. Or you're going to have to know that you're sleeping with someone who's not exclusive with you.
Yeah. I used to have this thing that if I slept with someone, I was assuming we're exclusive. And I found out that
Most guys aren't on board with that.
Yeah, I know, because I don't really have the time sometimes to check up on what guys are up to, so I would just assume. I always assume. That's my problem, is I assume that I am the only girl every guy talks to. I'm overly confident in what I have with every person I date that I just give them the benefit of the doubt. Even though I've been cheated on with all 3 of my exes, I still continue to give everyone the benefit of the doubt.
Those exes, did they know you were exclusive?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
No,
No, but it's because a long time ago, my mom taught me this. When my ex-boyfriend, I was always nervous and scared that he's cheating on me. And yeah, he was. But I didn't know that yet. We were on and off for 8 years. But I remember at one point my mom told me, she said, V, you're literally ruining your mental health over this. You get so worked up. You stalk him on the internet. You do all these things. And for what? People are going to do what they want to do. You can't stop people from doing what they want to do.
Right.
So if he's going to cheat on you, he will then cheat on you. And then eventually you'll find out. And then when you find out, then you can do something about it. But why put yourself through all these obstacles and all this heartache just to figure out what's happening? And it's like, you're just giving yourself a headache. If he's going to want to cheat on you, if he's going to cheat on you, he's going to fucking cheat on you. And I was like, you're right.
This is a good intro to our email today. We should get into it because this is actually on the subject of what we're talking about. Now, everyone should go follow Violet Benson at daddyissues_. Also, the podcast is called Almost Adulting. We're going to be on it next month. It's coming up, so go get subscribed to Almost Adulting. Great podcast. You're going to love it if you don't already listen. Daddy Issues is the Instagram account. Jordana, do you want to read it? Do you want me to? What do you want to do?
I can read it. I'll read it.
All right.
Okay. Hi, J&J. Been a loyal listener since you guys started the podcast, and now you guys have me hooked on oversharing in the J Train podcast. I looked at my sent emails, searching for your email address, knowing I've sent several, and it's funny to see how long I've come since we haven't answered any of her emails.
Sorry.
So funny to see how far I've come since the last time I desperately emailed you and you ignored me. LOL. From hooking up with married men, which I found out later, to asking for Bumble dating advice, I'm now writing in about my almost 2-year relationship. I, 25, met my boyfriend, 27, fresh out of a long-term relationship. He dated someone for 3 years. Later, I learned he had been in relationships since he was in his senior year of high school. I, on the other hand, have had 2 relationships and enjoyed my single life by going on dates, having one-night stands, and simply getting to know what I want in a guy throughout these events. I've always been a believer that everyone should have a single phase to enjoy themselves, especially people that are always in relationships. Not necessarily to fuck around, but to learn and enjoy yourself. Okay, she's got a belief system.
Right.
My boyfriend's last relationship was very toxic. His girlfriend struggled with self-esteem issues, battled with depression. She cheated on him multiple times and would always blame it on other problems. All of this made him develop trust issues. I've always been very supportive and sympathetic about it. I asked him what would make him feel more trusting towards me, and cheered him on when he started therapy. I thought that all of those things would help him gain more trust and gain the confidence he lost. Plot twist. I have now noticed he tends to tilt his phone a little when I am close. He will show me his phone, and as I hold it, he seems to be in a rush to get it back. I started to get suspicious because he was going to therapy, but now there was this change in attitude with his phone and continuous doubts in me. I have always been very respectful of him in our relationship and don't do anything to try to make him feel uncomfortable. So that's when my thoughts shifted. I don't doubt anything that he has told me about his past, but I have always felt that he should have had a single phase in his life. I wanted to prove myself wrong, and while he was showering, went into his phone and started looking through his DMs. I saw several convos with women, and they were all pretty normal, nothing that I wouldn't do. I started feeling guilty, and then I noticed this conversation he had with a girl. The convo was him saying she seems cool and that he was interested in getting to know her. She asked if romantically or as friends, and he said as friends. I unfollowed her from his account to find out that he followed her back again. Weeks later, I went into their convo again, and he had deleted it. I was only able to see 4 last messages from a recent convo about an artist. It didn't make sense, so it means he deletes the convo as they talk. I try to be realistic and know I am not the only woman he is going to consider attractive, etc., but that made me feel very uneasy. I felt so humiliated and disappointed because he doesn't hide me on social media. My boyfriend is all about open communication, but he failed to tell me about this one. This would be an interesting one to tell someone about. Right. I don't know how to bring this up without feeling weird by telling him I went through his phone. I hate admitting it, and now I feel like he is hiding something from me, which makes me feel uneasy and has me with this bad feeling in my stomach. I don't want to tell my friends because they will say something like, dump him. I feel other women can relate to this topic. J&J, what do you guys think? Thank you for all the advice. Good laughs and awesome podcast. Snoopy Batch. What do you think?
The best advice someone once told me is if you want to figure out someone's future actions, take a look at their past actions.
That's a great advice. Yeah.
So that means if he jumps from relationship to relationship, what do you think is happening right now?
Right.
He's that's a very astute point.
Yeah. And it's like he's not going to like, I mean, this will be the person he ends up with next if they break up, but he also is living in the land of like, I've done nothing wrong. Like she went ahead and hurt her own feelings. Like I agree with what you're saying as far as like the guy. I can only speak to the emailer. To me, there's a very big theme in the whole email, and I don't know if you guys caught it, as far as she needs evidence to have her own feelings. She can't just have feelings for no reason without like all these things. She said everyone should have a single phase, so that makes it so that they're okay being in a relationship. She has all these theories. She says that all the trust issues are because of this old girlfriend. It's all very convenient that she's put together all of this evidence to create why she is where she is today, where she could have, this had a simple solution. She could have just said, hey, it makes me feel bad when you get weird around your phone.
But you're missing the part where he's actually doing something wrong. He's literally look, what's happening is she's looking for theories because it's harder to admit, hey, this person doesn't love me like they used to. I can feel it. I can tell it. Is something wrong with me? No, never mind. I rather than find excuses. Oh, it must be because he has trust issues. Oh, it must be because this happened. Instead of just because it's no human being wants to sit there and be like, oh, at what point did this person stop loving me?
Well, no, but that again, you're now.
That's what's happening.
That's what I'm saying. Like that is what's happening. But she's she's not.
But you're making him sound like he's innocent. He's not.
I'm not making him sound innocent. His whole thing is whatever. Like, it doesn't matter. He's not writing into the podcast. The person writing in is doing everything you don't do. You just said about how I have sex with someone because I want it. I want this to be exclusive. She doesn't take any ownership of her own feelings. She sits here and she says, I don't like it that he gets weird around his phone. And then instead of saying, hey, you get weird around your phone, which would result in either him stop being weird around his phone or him dumping her because he realizes this is over and she's kind of the cat's out of the bag. Then she could go, and instead she went on this detective mission, and she found half-truths that she doesn't even feel confident in bringing to him. And now she's writing to us going, well, I don't want to say that I looked through his phone. Well, you did because you felt weird. If she had just owned her feelings and was like, I'm pissed off that you get weird around your phone, she would have found out. But
she wrote to you guys because she was hoping you would tell her that it's on her head. She doesn't actually want this to end. She's looking. That's why she said, I can't tell my friends because they would just say dump him. That means she wrote to you guys for, seems like at this point, 17 years straight, hoping eventually you'll listen and hoping that you will tell her that everything is fine. That's why she finally reached out to you guys as her last resort.
Right.
No, it's definitely not fine.
She doesn't want to ask him because then he would tell her what she doesn't want to hear.
Yeah. And I mean, I think you're both right. Like she's definitely making excuses for this guy. Also, even like she's trying to justify it so she could say whatever she can so she can stay in the relationship. I saw him messaging a few people. You know, I would do some things. I might do that too. Like, no, that's weird. Like, the whole thing is like the tilting the phone. That's weird. Like, she could have said something about any of these things. And again, like, if you are at the point where you need to be looking at someone's phone or you feel like that's something you need to do to yourself to prove yourself one way or the other, that's an issue with you. That's a you issue with him and a you issue with you.
Yeah, and if my mom was there, she would slap her and be like, snap out of it. If this man's going to cheat on you, he's going to cheat on you. There's nothing you can do about it.
Well,
and it just sucks. Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay, I will. You know, they did research about women and men in business, and the research was that women say "I'm sorry" too much in business. So on calls and things like that, if women or men interrupt each other, the women would be like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, you go ahead." And then men in business, they tend to just go, you speak over me, they get quiet, and then they continue their conversation.
I guess I'm a progressive because I apologized and stopped.
Yeah, I know. That's why it's a joke. I said, okay, I'll go. Yeah.
Taking all that, the power back.
Right.
What was I going to say? I forgot. I forgot what I was going to say.
Is there a business research study on how this can disrupt the chain of thought?
Shit. You speak, and then I'll remember what I wanted to say.
Well, I was taking notes on the business perspective. I guess what I lost my place too.
What were we just saying? We were talking about your mom. Your mom would yell at this woman.
Oh yeah, the shitty part about this is that there are people like this out there, women and men, who are serial daters. And it's hard to admit this to yourself, but I've even dated a person like this. Luckily, it was only 2 weeks, thank God. But they love bomb you, where everything feels super rushed, and you feel like you're so special until they do it to the next girl. You guys break up, and they move on so easily, and you're like, wait, what? This doesn't make sense. I thought it was special. And suddenly they love bombing the next person. And again, this is women and men. So it's not a nice feeling to realize that, oh, wait, this person just needs to be in a relationship. It has nothing to do with me. So imagine spending now 2 years with this person, and you knew in the back of your head the type of person this guy was, jumping from relationship to relationship, and now you end up being he's going to do the same to you. It sucks.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks, and that's like a good explanation of him, but I don't know if that helps her. Like, I think, like, if I'm looking at her in the eye, which is like, like if she wants to like go forward in this, like, if I was to say to her, like, how would you play this differently? If just because you say, hey, you're getting weird around your phone, that doesn't mean you will definitely break up. That means you will definitely talk about something. That means you will definitely.
Would you stay with him?
Would I stay with someone who
If you went through the DMs.
Well, hold on. Before going through the DMs, because here's the thing. In the beginning of a relationship, like I think like the relatable part of this is like in the beginning of the relationship, someone might be weird around their phone. Someone might flinch when you look over their shoulder. These things do happen in the first month of a relationship because you have open tabs with other people. You're dating a bunch of other people. Violet, you said you have a roster of people, but I'm saying like
I flinch. I just realized that I always flinch when I'm dating guys, and it's because I stopped going on private mode when I look through porn. And I get
well. This is
that it's going to come up.
But this is the thing.
Well, that's the thing. Not everything is. Not every person who's a little sneaky with their phone is like malintention. Like people Google. I Google weird shit that I don't. You don't want people necessarily like finishing the browser URL. I don't think that's that crazy.
But that's the point. That's kind of my point. Is like
if you just
asked, if you had just said. If you allowed yourself to have your feelings without proof of your feelings, because for her, the big thing in her email is proof. I got to have proof to justify why I feel certain ways. How about I'm just annoyed with how you act with your phone, and that's just how I feel. You did and stop at that, because then it becomes, oh, well, I went off a private mode. Now, instead of having that conversation a year ago, probably, as she's written in all these times, now she's going through a phone while he's in the shower. He's talking to people on Instagram, but she says, I don't really got him. Like, it's not like that he wrote, thanks for sucking my dick. He wrote, so it's like she doesn't have any hard evidence, which is why she doesn't feel great about admitting her feelings, because now she feels like, it's like if you have someone in court and you're like, well, I want to get this guy. And they go, well, you didn't read them their Miranda rights. Like now she's like in this weird game of like, I don't have enough proof to be able to be mad at him or to get him. So now I'm in this, like, I just think if like for next time, like this guy, it seems like the bloom is off the rose, but like, it is okay to say you and your phone annoy me.
Yeah, you say that now, but it's scary. It's scary because it's scary to hear an answer you don't want to hear. That's normally
that's why people don't ask these questions.
Easier said than done. I agree.
Right. Yeah, that's
like,
why they don't.
I want to be exclusive. I'm going to get my feelings hurt if we have sex and you're not exclusive with
Sometimes not knowing feels better than knowing the wrong.
Because you get to guess and
want.
You just assume it has nothing to do with you. It's shittier if they're like, yeah, I fell out of love with you.
And you also don't ask because like, then if it's not the answer that you liked, it's now your job to sort of like end it.
Right.
Because you have your own. And sometimes you're kind of like, well, my preferred thing is that this person's my boyfriend or that this person's exclusive with me, but I'd rather have like whatever this is than nothing.
Right.
Yeah, like with my ex, I continuously felt, is he cheating on me? Is he not? But I think deep down and this was my early 20s, mid 20s, well, my late 20s. Anyway, but started in the early 20s, and deep down, I knew he was cheating on me, and I never wanted to ask him, and I never wanted to know, because deep down, I knew then I would actually have to leave him, and I knew that I didn't want to, because but I also didn't love myself. I didn't have my self-worth, and also my ex-boyfriend used to prank me by pretending to cheat on me. To see my reaction. With the girls he was cheating on me with.
That's pretty insane.
With the girls he was cheating on me with.
That sounds like a little sociopathic.
Yeah, that's shitty. I mean,
I think it was his way of actually coming out with the truth to not feel guilty.
Right.
And I had no reaction.
Trying to get
I told you. We
called you together.
Right.
He used to have his friends call me. He used to have his friends call me and be like, okay, he's being really weird. Let's say call him Brian. Brian's being really weird. Like he hasn't answered his phone. He's hanging out with, let's say, Hannah. He's hanging out with Hannah and blah, blah. And I'd be like, oh, I'm sure they're just chilling. And they're like, no. It's like till 2 a.m. And I'm like, well, I'm sure he just fell asleep. Like I would just give all these excuses because I just didn't want to think about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have that. That's like a classic trope of like, the of denial of the woman who doesn't want to know. And I think a lot of people can live their whole relationships. They could have a 30-year marriage like that.
I listen, I totally agree. Easier said than done. I will say, from the other side, I think it's easier to say, instead of saying, why do you do something? I think saying it turns me off when you do that with your phone is a much more productive way to go than why are you doing that?
It hurts my feelings.
Hurts my feelings, turns me off.
It turns me off, I think, can make a person defensive. But I think if you said, hey, listen, I care so much about you, and it makes me feel a little insecure and a little unloved by you when you do things like this. It brings back insecurities for me. Can you put yourself in my shoes and see how that makes me feel?
Here's the thing. Right. Here's the only thing I disagree with is like turns me off is very much not in the control. There's no evidence that a guy can produce to like defend that. It doesn't seem like you love me. He'll go, no, I love you. Look what I did for you last week. Look what I did for you tomorrow.
But it hurts my feelings.
It hurts my feelings.
It hurts my feelings cannot be is good in terms of like you can't argue with that either.
That too, I agree.
It's just in a way to not attack because I think a lot of times we say either turns me off or a lot of times we say you never do this or why would you do that, and then the other person gets offensive.
No, but why would you do that is not the same as it turns me off. It turns me off is a very powerful thing to a man. I'm telling you right now. The idea.
I'm just thinking if someone said to me, it turns me off, I'd be like, okay, cool, then don't date me. If that turns you off, I'm not going to change who I am. Sorry. Like, that would be my reaction. Well, then I would get defensive.
But
that's kind of, that's what you're going towards.
Right? In relationships, it's either you're fighting to separate or you're fighting to come together.
Right.
So one thing I've learned with myself is that when I'm about to, quote, unquote, pop off, I have to ask myself, Violetta, what is the outcome that you're looking for? So if I'm looking for an outcome where I actually want to make it work, because I don't want to let this person go. I know deep down, even if they were actually cheating on me, they're going to admit it, I'm still going to stay with them. Then I'm probably not going to say it turns me off just in case the reaction may be, okay, then goodbye, because I'm not going to go anywhere. So then I look like an idiot. I'm desperate.
I don't think you would look like an idiot, but I don't think, the things that would be said turn me off aren't like the things that we would think of normally as a turn on, turn off. It's not, it turns me off when you wear red. That's very different than what I'm telling this person to do, because it turns me off when you get fucking weird around your phone. Is not like a sexual thing. It's not like that's something to be discussed. That's something where someone can go, well, I guess I'll stop being weird, or here's why I'm being weird with this phone. I think like in the scenario where you turns me off when you wear heels, like, oh well, fuck it, I'm leaving. Yeah, you're better off without that person, and I guess that is an attack, because why are you talking about like something so non-consequential as heels? Like I don't think this is for something non-consequential.
You know what? I'm going to take back my disagreeing with you, because listening to you, I've realized that you and I just communicate differently. Okay. So that works for you, and the other part works for me. So I'm disagreeing with you, forgetting there were two different humans who communicate completely differently, and different forms of communication work differently for both of us. So what I'm saying works for me. That's what I was referring to. What you're saying works for you.
Right.
There's no wrong here.
I think you're both saying like the same thing worded differently.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm saying if someone talked to me like that, I would.
If someone said this turns me off, that would
I would get defensive. But I understand now that that's how he would want someone to communicate with him.
Right. That might be like a male-female thing too.
No, I think it's just a personality
But I think
thing.
it would work on me. So I'm saying for this person, where it might not work on you, Violetta, and that might be the case, and I agree with you. I'm saying this woman who wrote in is dealing with a guy where I know what I would say to, well, I didn't say anything wrong over those DMs. I know what I would say to that.
Right.
My point is to produce an answer for her that gets her to a better place.
Okay, let's role play.
Sure.
So come to me and say that to me as these two people. You're the girl. Say that to me.
Hey, when you the other day we were watching a movie and I looked at your phone and you got really weird. It really turned me off.
Why were you going through my phone?
I didn't go through your phone. When I looked at you, you flinched away with your phone. It just felt like a weird vibe, and it really kind of turned me off.
Well, I just feel like, why wouldn't you trust me? That's so weird. Why would you even bring this up? It's kind of turning me off.
I trust you completely. I just don't understand why when I look at your phone.
I just feel like if we don't have trust, we don't have anything. And the fact that you would even bring this up makes me feel like you don't trust me. And you know what? Honestly, maybe we should take a break.
Okay, well, good luck with everything. Make sure you get return my sweatshirts and everything. And I wish you the best of luck. I'm downloading Tinder right now.
Well, how do we think that this woman should deal with, because it's more than just the phone thing at this point, right? She's already unlocked the Pandora's box. She already sees everything that's in there. She's beyond this. This advice isn't helpful for her because she's like way past this. She's seen the messages. She sees the delete. She unfollowed the person. He followed them again.
He's really committed to talking to this person.
Do you think she's willing to leave?
No. Because if she was willing to leave, she would have told her friends.
Literally. Right. If you don't, that's how you know it's bad. When you stop telling your friends about the guy you're dating, that's a red flag. That's when you know it's so bad that you don't want them to know. When I started going back to my ex all the time, I just stopped telling my friends. It was too embarrassing.
I agree. That's a good benchmark. But so I'm saying, the thing is, she has to really ask herself is like, do I want any relationship, even this one, or do I want a good relationship? And if the answer is I want a good relationship, then she has to be willing to leave. Then she should just lay it all out there. And that's the only shot they have at having a good relationship.
I agree.
It's hard to leave. They were together for 2 years. Women usually are like, oh my God.
Just because it's hard doesn't mean it's the wrong choice, though.
I know, but no one likes change.
Well, not liking change doesn't mean that change isn't good.
It's hoping the person will change instead of me having to make a change for them by dumping them. That's usually the case.
Well, I think that she has to stop thinking in terms of him and I. Like, it's me. What gets me better? What gets my place in life better? Is my place in life better with them or without them? And I do think maybe this conversation will help her to see that it ain't about the texts. It ain't about the DMs. It ain't about this woman that he's kind of talking and flirting with. It's really about hey, am I getting everything I'm wanting from this relationship that has all this energy put into playing detective?
Right. Because would I even be checking his phone if there wasn't something that I knew was not right here?
Right.
She says it's just because he's being a little shady with the phone, but I think there's more to it. Whether it's something else he's been doing that makes her think this, or something inside of her that doesn't trust him. Because if you're looking through someone's phone, by nature of the fact that you're doing it, there's either something in you that you need to work out, or something with the other person that they need to work out. That's not just them maybe putting your phone slightly away, because people do that all the time. People are not most people are not so thrilled with people looking over their shoulder when they're on their phone.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just hiding my porn sites.
Yeah, I'm hiding weird shit that I've Googled, or literally or someone's profile that I stalk that I'm embarrassed about. There's a million a phone is a diary. Right. There's very few people who are and just take the phone and look through all the past history and I don't care. There's something else here, I think.
Right. Part of a growing relationship is feeling comfortable enough to say to someone, what the fuck was that? I think the less you say what the fuck was that, and is the more you're separating and not communicating and all that stuff that everyone says are big
Jared,
parts of a relationship.
I like what you just said. I think that's a great way, is to change your perspective. Early in the beginning of the podcast, I talked about changing your perspective when it comes to being exclusive, that it's not about the guy option.
Right.
It's you decide. And I think I like what you just did, the same thing, because we get so insecure and trying to figure out, is this person cheating on me, blah, blah. And I like the changing your perspective. Am I happy in this relationship? Am I getting all my needs met at this point? Am I really making the most out of my time right now by stalking this person? Do I see a future? Is this good for me? And I think when you change your perspective, make it about you, in a weird way, it makes it easier for you to make the decision whether or not you want to walk away, because it's not about, does this person like me or not? Because if they don't like me, then there goes my value. It's more is this what I think I deserve? Do I deserve more than this? Do I deserve someone who will give? I'm not, like you said, I guess on my podcast about your
needs don't make you needy.
Exactly. Yeah. So right now she's finding any excuse, and her needs are not being fulfilled. So I think I like that. I like that a lot. I think that's good.
But that also what you're saying right now too is it also makes it how it makes it easier. It now makes it easier to go, yeah, I looked through your phone.
Right.
I looked through, that's not really a lot of people that write in with I looked through the phone, what should I do now? I don't have enough evidence, but I'm mad enough that I need to talk about this. It's always this thing they hold against themselves that I looked through the phone, so now we're on an even playing field of like doing wrongs, which isn't true. It's just, I looked through the phone. That's the fact of the matter. Saw stuff I don't like. It all stems from, I can tell you the day when you got weird with your phone then, and now we're here.
Right.
We're just here. And I'm deciding if I want to be here or not.
Yeah, but look at that. The perspective change. You're not scared this person's going to leave you because it's not up to them. It's you're here making the decision. I don't know if this is good enough for me.
Right.
Here's an example. My mom and my dad, they got together. They got engaged or married after 1 month of my dad knowing my mother. And during that time, after they were married or engaged, whatever, my dad made suddenly a comment, what if we rushed into this? Like, I don't know, maybe this wasn't right. Like, maybe we shouldn't have done this so fast. Whatever that he's saying. He's just standing there saying this. He turns around and he sees my mother open up a suitcase and just start packing. And he's like, what are you doing? And she said, you said, what if we're rushing and all this stuff? I don't have time for that. So you figure out what you need, but I'm going to leave. And he was like, what? No, I want you. You're what I need. Please stay. And, they're still together.
She put him to his word.
Yeah. But she didn't sit around. She was like, no, please don't leave me. What would I be without you? My mother already had a husband that cheated on her, and she knew her worth at that point. She said, I will never put up with that shit again. If someone doesn't, my mom taught me for the longest time, especially when I was silly enough with a silly goose with my exes, when I didn't love myself, she said, two things. One, never let a man tell you twice that he doesn't want you, period. Everyone knows that. And then number two is, my mom taught me, never stay where you're not wanted. So when someone makes you feel like you're not wanted, it's time for you to go. And that's what happened. My dad made her feel like she's not wanted, and she left. She was trying to leave. If someone says, I don't know if this is right, I don't know if we should be doing this, okay, you figure it out. I'm going to go. I don't have time for this.
I like the you figure it out part. I think that's very empowering.
Yeah. I love I love the fact that she taught me never stay where you're not wanted, because it's not just in relationships, it's anywhere where you don't feel valued.
Has a house guest.
A house guest, or work, it doesn't matter. Friendships, if you don't feel valued, why are you wasting your energy where someone else can appreciate it somewhere,
Love that.
I completely agree, and I think that plays into the whole conversation we're having. This was great.
Yeah.
Jordana,
this was awesome.
What do you think?
Thank you so much
episode.
for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Great discussion. I think a lot of people can get like so much out of what we were talking about, and we want everyone to go follow Violet.
Yeah, Violet, where can they find you?
They can find me on the streets of Sunset. I'm kidding. They can find me teaching. They can find me on Almost Adulting, my podcast. We have new episodes every Tuesday and Thursday. Thursday's more mental health or whatever the topic is that month, and it's guests or solo episodes, which is what I'm known for. Tuesdays, it's about the listeners, and they get to call in with confessions. They can subscribe to that, or on Instagram, Almost Adulting, or my meme account, daddyissues_, or my personal account, Violet Benson. That's it.
Go follow and subscribe. Yeah,
this was great. Yeah,
thanks for having me.
And we will see you on Wednesday with a new episode. Bye.
Bye.
The U Up podcast is produced by Sean Kilby, Maddie Paul, and Jorge Morales-Pico. Editing by Jorge Morales-Pico. Social media by Maddie Paul. Be sure to follow at u.up.podcast on Instagram and send us your emails to uup@betches.com.